Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and we gotta take a look at all of the 9 sacks that the Commanders allowed versus the Eagles last weekend. I mean, we gotta really dive into this and truly look at whose fault was whose, because this was a very ugly offensive performance, and the sacks that we were allowing were probably the main catalyst as to why we just couldn't put points. I mean, we would be in favorable situations, sack. Now we're not. Now we're punting. And it was just like a complete failure of an offensive attack from Scott Turner, the offensive line, Carson Wentz, and sometimes the receivers may not have been open. So this is going to be my first time really looking at these plays. So we're going to be looking at this live together, and I'm going to try to discern like whose fault it is each time, because it can be a collection of guys' faults. One play, it could be the offensive line and Carson Wentz, or it could just be Carson Wentz, or it can be Scott Turner bad play calling and play design where no receivers open, and it may not be the receiver's fault. Maybe Scott Turner had a lot of the receivers running into the same area, so there was nowhere to throw the ball, or maybe Scott Turner did call a good play and the offensive line blocked well. Maybe the receivers just couldn't separate from their guys. We're gonna see. Not sure yet. Again, I'm looking at this live just like y'all, so we're gonna go through each individual sack from the game, and we're gonna try to keep a tracker of whose fault it is. Now, I'm not gonna be perfect because there's just some things we don't know just from watching the all 22. We're not in the mind of Scott Turner, so maybe he called the right play and maybe the receivers ran the wrong routes or something. So we're gonna take a look at all of the various reasons as to why these sacks happen and what we need to do to prevent them. And so I'm going to keep a tracker going. We're going to try to keep track of exactly what's going on. And hopefully by the end of the video, we'll have somewhat of an answer of whose fault it was the most. Because again, it was a myriad of reasons. It was a collection of problems. But I am curious, who was the most at fault? But before we dive in all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every Sunday for the live stream during the game. I'll be doing that as well for the Cowboys and the rest of the regular season, as long as I'm good to go. And of course, I'll have my post-game live stream as well, either an hour after the game or the next day, which is usually going to be Monday. But without further ado, man, let's get it. Alright, so sack number 1. This is shameful. It looks like they're only rushing 4, which is like really bad. A lot of these sacks, they're only rushing 4. On this play, it's 3rd and 5 from the Washington 45-yard line, opening drive with 13 minutes 57 seconds left remaining in the first quarter. Let's see how this goes, man. Like, I mean, it just looks like we should be able to win this. That just looks so winnable. Let's slow it down. Alright, so off rip, looks like Charles Leno beat bad. Carson Wentz tries to step up, but Charles Leno just got beat so bad, and then the interior is getting pushed back in his face, so there's not really much to step up into. The only offensive lineman doing their job is this guy right here. And it would have been nice if you could have had this running back, probably Antonio Gibson, as an additional blocker, maybe to help somebody. But even then, the way Charles Leno got beat, he probably would not have been able to recognize it quick enough anyway to get the job done. So, man, we try to get him out there. I think he chipped. That probably is actually Curtis Samuel. And, you know, there's an option in the flat there. And it sucks because if this play developed, this receiver is wide open. And I think that's a common theme throughout the day, like from what I've heard. Again, this is my first time really looking at this footage from this view as far as sacks go. I've looked at the all 22 for the game in general, but now I'm like really looking at this as far as like why the sacks were so bad. And throughout this entire game, there's moments where it's just like there was a receiver wide open. I mean, if they were going to take away this flat, this receiver literally has an easy touchdown. That's probably Terry McLaurin, I believe. That's an easy touchdown, but Charles Leno got beaten. It sucks too because Charles Leno is usually one of our more consistent offensive linemen, but he just got beat bad right there. And this is the opening drive. This is the same type of stuff that got Ryan Fitzpatrick hurt in the first quarter against the Chargers last year. And again, even if Charles Leno didn't get beat, I mean, somebody's getting driven back into Carson Wentz. There's just nothing he can do. So we're going to chalk this up to offensive line straight up. That's it. Then if you want to see it from this view, let's see. It's the, yep, Center getting beat bad. Nice chip by Curtis Samuel to help out. I believe that's Andrew Norwell, but everybody else is straight up getting beat. Trey Turner isn't even blocking anybody, so that's just really bad. Because Charles Leno could have used the help. Samuel Cosme could have used the help. Everybody could have used the help. Wes Schweitzer, and I love Wes Schweitzer, but he was getting beat pretty bad at center this day. And of course, with a sack on 3rd and 5, this ended the drive. This put us at 4th and long. We punted. So this whole play killed an entire drive right here. Opening drive of the game. It sucks too because the defense did all that they could to keep us in this game, but the offense just, oh my lord. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to slow this down. Let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and get ready to slow this one down. This is terrible. All right, so from the live view, it looked like one of the guards, Trey Turner, got beat pretty bad. I mean, just clearly stronger than him. Fletcher Cox is a veteran, and even Samuel Cosme almost allowed Carson Wentz to get strip sacked from behind. I mean, Samuel Cosme didn't do like a terrible job. I mean, if Carson Wentz was able to step up, this guy doesn't even matter. So Samuel Cosme technically didn't do a terrible job, but his job just looks like he did worse because Trey Turner's getting thrown all the way in. I mean, he got tackled with Carson Wentz. Like, Buddy pulled a Matt Ioannidis and tackled the quarterback and the offensive lineman right with him. I mean, that is really, really bad. Like, very, very bad. Let me look from this angle because I think Trey Turner was not ready for one-on-one with Fletcher Cox. I mean, even Antonio Gibson had a little bit of a struggle leaking out because Trey Turner was getting beat so bad. Look at this. Wes Schweitzer getting pushed a little bit. Poor Antonio Gibson and super poor Carson Wentz. I mean, Lord. Let's go back. And then we have 2 tight ends not blocking anybody. We have 2 tight ends that could have been helping over there, but it's just the Eagles did a good job of assessing what was going on. We're going to shift all of our 4. We're only rushing 4. That's it. We're only rushing 4, and you have 7 blockers, and we're making sure that we avoid them. And it's 1-on-3 over here, and everybody else pretty much has a 1-on-1 over there. I mean, the center isn't blocking. Oh, no, that's Andrew Norwell. The left guard isn't blocking anybody. You have these extra tight ends, so I'm going to blame some of this on Scott Turner. We're going to give him 1 mark for this. But, of course, this is more so the offensive line than anybody. Now, let's look at the receivers. Are there any options? I mean, Antonio Gibson's open right here. Carson Wentz, it looked like he was about to throw it. It's really hard for me to blame Carson Wentz on this play. It is really difficult because Antonio Gibson just leaked out, and you can see Carson Wentz beginning to throw the ball. Antonio Gibson leaking out, just turns his head, about to throw the ball. I mean, it would have been nice if he was a split second ready, sooner. Ready to throw the ball to Antonio Gibson. Maybe he could have gotten it out if he was a little like right there throwing the ball, but he's just now revving up his arm, so a little blame, but it's not enough blame to give Carson Wentz that ticker. I mean, we can watch it one more time in live motion at normal speed to see if this was just too long. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's hard for me to blame Carson Wentz on that one. That's just offensive lineman getting beat. Scott Turner assigning 2 tight ends to block on one side, but then you got a left guard not blocking anybody. You have the running back running out, so he's not helping, and then everybody else is one-on-ones. You have 3 extra blockers with everybody else suffering in one-on-ones right now, just suffering. So we're definitely going to give a ticker to the offensive line and Scott Turner for this one. I'm not gonna lie, man, there's just no reason we have 3 guys not doing anything. And maybe you can blame Andrew Norwell for maybe he's not doing anything, but who are you going to blame for the 2 tight ends not blocking anybody? That's on Scott Turner, man. You might as well just go ahead and send them out on routes if it was going to be like this. At least one of them. And then this 3rd sack, 2nd and 16 from our own 14, 2nd offensive drive. So same drive as that last sack. And this is literally the play after that last play. We went from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 16. Again, this is our 2nd drive, still in the 1st quarter with 9 minutes 59 seconds remaining. And we're just gonna take a look at this live. How many are they rushing? Only 4 again. I mean, the fact that they're getting pressure like this, only rushing 4, it's not impossible for receivers to be open, but they have 7 guys in coverage, and it's just like Carson Wentz try to identify who to throw it to in this. I mean, look at that. Look at all the confusion even. Like maybe, oh, you thought Antonio Gibson might be open, but you have a linebacker on the way there. I mean, maybe you could have gotten the ball to Terry McLaurin, and he wanted to throw it, but he pump faked. I guess he got scared seeing the corner coming back to get him. Maybe that gets picked off, or maybe it's a hospital ball to Terry McLaurin, even if he does catch it. And so it's just really hard to identify who's open here, because we're allowing them to get pressure like this with 7 in coverage, and that should just never happen. You should never be just this many people in coverage, and Carson Wentz doesn't have forever to find somebody open. Eventually, somebody can get open. Even with 7 guys in coverage, it's impossible to cover all of these receivers forever. Somebody's going to eventually get open at some point, but it's just not enough time in the pocket. I mean, he's out here getting abused. Let's look from this way. And, I mean, they try to disguise it maybe a little bit. Like, this linebacker looked like he may have been blitzing, but at the end of the day, they only sent 4, and this is just shameful. And would have been nice for Carson Wentz to get the ball off there, but then again, how would he have thrown it to Terry McLaurin to where it would have been completed and Terry McLaurin wouldn't have got blown up? I don't know. So maybe he was trying to protect Terry McLaurin here, but, you know, Andrew Norwell getting beat this bad this early. I mean, we just hiked the ball, sir. We just hiked the ball, sir. What's going on? How do we end up like this? How did we end up? And then look at Charles Leno. I mean, fighting for his life. I mean, he ended up being able to put the anchor down at some point, but it was a little too late. It would have been nice if you could have done that up here. Maybe Carson Wentz could have had somewhere to step up to. But man, this is more so Andrew Norwell than anybody else. I mean, it wasn't a great rep from a lot of people. Wes Schweitzer is really the only one doing his job for real. I mean, Samuel Cosmi did his job pretty well, even though kind of let him go at the end. It is a shifty, quick little outside edge rusher, so it's really hard for Samuel Cosmi to keep up with him all the way around here like that, but at least he kept them away from Carson Wentz. But yeah, Andrew Norwell, man, come on now. We got to do better than that. And this is the 3rd consecutive sack of the game. We literally ended our previous drive with a sack. Then the first play of the drive, we get a sack. And then this is the second play of the drive. So literally 3 sacks, 3 plays in a row technically for us, even though our defense was on the field. And then our offense came back out. But this is just like, there's nothing you can really do as far as Carson Wentz, in my opinion. I don't feel like Scott Turner's necessarily at fault. Even though when it's 3 sacks in a row, you would think we would go with some type of quick game stuff. So I kind of want to blame Scott Turner there. But this is just so obviously offensive line right here. And offensive line, I'm just going to give it to them. It would have been nice if Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin had better timing, because this could have been delivered soon enough to where Terry McLaurin could have got this and maybe even shook Buddy. The ball should already be there. I mean, we could try to pinpoint exactly when he should have released it. Let me see. Let's go back to the exact snap. Release it now. Go ahead and start throwing that ball. What took so long? So, yeah, I may give Carson Wentz a bit of a point right there. Again, this is easily Andrew Norwell's fault the most. So this is an obvious offensive line ticker that we're going to give. We're going to definitely give them a bad point here. But it would have been nice when you slow it down. Even regular motion, it seems like Carson Wentz could have got that off. Like, throw it now. But that extra 2 steps, and then by then Andrew Norwell's already getting cooked to death. So yeah, I'm gonna give Carson Wentz a little bit of a blame here. It's enough to probably give him a ticket. We'll give it to the offensive line and Carson Wentz. Would have been nice if he would have been more on point there. But hey, that's just, veteran quarterback, but this is only his 3rd game here. And it looks like it. Maybe if this has been our quarterback for the past 4 years, and him and Terry McLaurin have like a chemistry that's spanned over a few years, maybe this pass gets completed instead of it being a sack. And even though that is a valid excuse, I'm still going to put a little blame on him. We're going to give him a ticket here. All right, so we finally were able to run some offensive plays without allowing sacks. So this is 3rd and 5 from Washington's 47, 3rd drive. 3 minutes, 55 seconds left remaining in the first. Again, rush 4. And this is just shameful, bro. We should not be allowing them to get sacks like this while they're rushing 4. Like, this is like really, really shameful. But at the same time, like I said, when they're rushing 4, let me go ahead and slow this down. When they're rushing 4, is 7 guys in coverage, so it's hard for guys to be open, especially against zone like this where guys are getting literally handed off to other zones. Look how many people are double teamed. There's no excuse. The blocking should be A1. Carson Wentz should have 20 seconds behind the O-line with all of these guys in coverage, so you can't blame the receivers. And it's kind of like you don't want to blame Scott Turner because you are set up to where the offensive line should be able to win this battle. But after a while, you got to realize, hey, my offensive line is getting cooked out here. So maybe I should call some different plays. Maybe I should call some quicker plays. And it looked like maybe he tried. He has an underneath option, kind of running a wheel route. He has some guys running across, some little short routes right here. 3 kind of short route options. But everything still took a little too long to develop. None of these guys are really ready and open enough to catch the ball yet. So it really doesn't matter. And I mean, it just looks like everybody's taking Carson Wentz down. I mean, it looks like you got offensive linemen in on it. That man's getting Willie Beeman from any given Sunday. I don't know what Carson Wentz did to these offensive linemen to make them so mad. I don't know why they're just allowing guys to do this to him. All right, so now let's look at who's getting beat bad, man. Is it Charles Leno this play? Yep, Charles Leno. Come on, bro. And then Samuel Cosmi on the outside as well. Samuel Cosmi, you got to hold your block better than that. But then again, that's kind of Carson Wentz's fault for running into it. But at the same time, the reason Carson Wentz ran into it because he's looking that way. He sees Charles Leno starting to get beat. And he's like, all right, I have like a certain amount of time. I can feel the pressure this way. Good job moving out of that way. But then Samuel Cosmi not able to hold down his block. And then he gets through Charles Leno so easily anyway. And it's just like a really bad offensive lineman performance. You know, usually when the offensive line is bad, it's probably like 1 or 2 guys that's repeatedly bad. But this is just one of them games where everybody's had a turn at being bad. Charles Leno gets beat. Then Andrew Norwell gets beat. Samuel Cosmi gets beat. Trey Turner gets beat. Wes Schweitzer gets beat. It'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I blocked well this play, and then the next play I allowed the sack, so now everybody's mad at me. Then I block well, and then somebody else allows the sack. Now I'm mad at them, and it's just like nobody played perfect today. Nobody technically played well. I mean, overall, you could kind of say that Charles Leno might have been our most consistent offensive lineman, but you can see on this play right here, he's getting beat bad. And there's at least a couple of plays this game he was destroyed. Poor Andrew Norwell, because he's trying to do his job, and he sees Charles Leno getting beat, so he tries to kind of move over a little bit to help him out a little bit. Like, let me try to get in Buddy's way while still blocking my guy. But Charles Leno just got beat so bad, there's nothing you can do. And the fact that your guy as the left tackle, let's see where we started. Charles Leno, we started here. You engaged here. Why is your quarterback getting sacked by your guy down here? How is it this bad? But yeah, I mean, you would love for Carson Wentz to be able to get the ball out sooner. But then again, it's like, who do you get it out to? I mean, we could try to maybe this wheel route, but that corner's sitting on it. I think that's Maddox right there, just sitting on it, just waiting. Please throw that. I mean, maybe double team. It's not fair. The Eagles are cheating too because they're wearing green. I barely even saw that guy right there. I mean, maybe from Carson Wentz's view it's a little different, but I forgot he was there. I mean, maybe this, but by then he can feel Buddy reaching for him, and he can hear this guy breathing on his neck. So maybe he had this. The safety was helping on this at first. Notice that, you know, Carson Wentz probably not looking down the field. He's running for his life right now. I might as well go help with this and take this away. And so if Carson Wentz is even trying to look at this, it's open, but he's already under attack. So it's hard for me to blame Carson Wentz for that. Carson Wentz still deserves a little bit of blame for holding the ball a little too long, but when you're looking at what he has to throw to, there's just no reason. Again, they're having 7 in coverage, which means the offensive line should be able to handle their job. It's really hard for receivers to get open with all of this going on. They're running zone coverage. A crossing route beats man coverage. If this was man coverage, maybe we could have done something with this, but it's zone coverage. What can you really do? The crossing route doesn't beat anything, and the other guys are getting double teamed. It's y'all fault more than anything else. But yeah, granted, it would have been lovely for Carson Wentz to be able to assess the situation. And never mind, I forgot there's a safety above him. Double team. Everybody else getting handed off in zone coverages. Nobody's open. Come on, offensive line. So we're going to get that straight up the offensive line. I can't even give Carson Wentz that one. I forgot that other safety was back there. Yeah, we can't do that. There's 2 guys behind this receiver right here. 2 of them. I can move it over a little bit so y'all can see it a little better. There's 2 DBs back here, man. So my fault on what I said earlier, man. Nobody's open. Nobody's open. All right, sack number 5, 2nd and 6 from Washington's 29. 4th drive of the game, 13 minutes and 3 seconds left in the second quarter. What's going on here? Are they rushing 4 again? Yes, they are. Obviously, only rushing 4. I just want to see that receiver was relatively open, but Carson Wentz is out here running for his life by that time, so I guess it didn't matter. I guess by that point it was just absolutely pointless. I guess, I mean, right there, open. Get the ball out. Yeah, nah. See, yeah, Carson Wentz, you tripping on this one. You bugging. Let's go ahead and slow this down. So, all right, Carson Wentz, this one, you're definitely getting a ticker for this one. But the offensive line probably also is as well, because, you had time to throw that. And then to fumble the ball as well, like, we're offensive line, that wasn't a great blocking set from all of y'all. That was not great. I wouldn't even say y'all won the set, but that was, like, enough. Y'all got the double team. You got him helping. Trey Turner going around helping where he needs to. That's not a great pocket. Andrew Norwell getting pushed into Carson Wentz. But that was enough to at least deliver this short pass right here. It is 2nd and 6. Go ahead and get rid of this ball to this guy that's open. And then maybe we can make some shape. Like, he's open right now. And you almost looking that way. Now, granted, at the time, you are dodging pressure. But you still could have. I think I'm going to blame that on Carson Wentz. We're going to give the offensive line another tick. I'm not going to lie, because, like, why is this happening? Carson Wentz should be able to, right now, be able to deliver the ball in peace. But Buddy right there is on his neck. That guy's right there. So I understand why he took off. But at the same time, you still, even after all of this, have the space and the time to get this off. Especially with you having such a strong arm, you could have rocketed that in there. You probably could even fit this in right here if you would have thrown it with the right angle. So I'm going to blame Carson Wentz and the offensive line there. I'm not going to be able to give it to Scott Turner, even though, again, as many times we're getting sacked, it's like, all right, Scott Turner, can we please call some other plays, some quick stuff to get Carson Wentz the ball out quicker? But he had an option right here, so I'm not going to get too mad at Scott Turner, even though, again, overall, I definitely believe Scott Turner is to blame. But when you look at it play by play, if guys just did their job, we wouldn't be in this situation. But still, as an offensive coordinator, you need to adjust, and we need to start calling more quick plays. You need to run the ball more. I mean, I've been a fan of passing the ball more and passing on first down, but obviously our offensive line doesn't allow us to do that so far this season. So run the ball more, and hopefully when Brian Robinson comes back, that will help us. But yeah, Scott Turner, you still got to get some blame. Again, when we look at individual plays, it's hard to give Scott Turner a ticker, but we definitely got to give Carson Wentz and the offensive line one for this one. Receivers open, and again, it's really hard to blame Scott Turner when we look at certain plays, but overall, we'll probably just go ahead and give him a ticker at the end of the video. But yeah, man, Carson Wentz offensive line, this y'all fault right here, man, for sure. And then not holding on to the ball to make it even worse. Like, come on now. And just to let y'all know, this is still the first half of the game, because this is the 6th sack now. 3rd and 10, Washington from their own 20-yard line. 6th drive of the game. 6 minutes, 34 seconds left in the 2nd quarter. We're on sack number 6. It's still the first half. This is absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's see what's going on. How many are they rushing this play? They showing some blitz from maybe two guys coming in. Maybe 2 guys coming in. None of them come in. 4-man pressure, strip sack. This is shameful, bro. This is shameful. Let's go back. Let me see if any receivers were open. Did Scott Turner miss anybody that was open? We're going to look at the offensive line last, because, I mean, at this point, man, I mean, you had this guy. You had everybody else is pretty much sealed off. But you had, I believe that's probably Logan Thomas right there on the slick if you throw a good ball. But, yeah, I mean, offensive line, let's see who got beat, bro. Because it looks like this just Samuel Cosme got abused. Samuel Cosme got abused on this play. Let's look at it from this other angle, please. Samuel Cosme, what's going on? The speed rush got you. Hit cart. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Everybody else, I mean, they're blocking their guy, but this is not a good, like, look at this pocket. This man is in a phone booth for real, bro. This man is in a New York closet. Like, I mean, it's just not really much to work with. Everybody's getting pushed back. I mean, look at when this play started. Look at where everybody's at when they first engage with their guy. This is where this needs to stop. This should be the pocket for the entire play. But sadly, it's not, because everybody's technically getting beat. And then Trey Turner has nobody to block once again, nobody to help. So I'm going to start blaming Scott Turner for some of this. Like, did we not prepare our offensive lineman to be ready to pick up a potential blocker? Was he assigned to one of those potential blitzers? I mean, it did look like some guys might blitz. And, you know, he passed him off the Wet Schweitzer, was ready to pick him up, but he went into coverage. He looked around. I have nobody to block. And Carson Wentz is like, I have no room to throw. And now the ball looks like a glitch because it's behind his head, even though his arm's moving forward. And this is just really, it's really bad. Samuel Cosme was the worst of the play. He's the one that got truly beat. But really, everybody's getting beat. I mean, even if there wasn't a strip sack. Carson Wentz is getting Wes Schweitzer thrown into him, and it's just like, come on now. Lord have mercy. So offensive line, gotta blame you there. I mean, we can look at it again in regular motion to see if Carson Wentz had enough time. Ball snapped. Okay, 1, 2, open over there. So, yeah, I mean, you could give Carson Wentz some blame here because that was open right there. You could have thrown that. Definitely could have thrown that right there. You had the time to throw that, but it sucks that he should have had more time to throw it somewhere else. And honestly, this strip sack may have prevented an interception because where were you going with this? Were you trying to get it here? I mean, I guess that could have worked. He had enough space to be able to catch the ball and do something with it afterwards and maybe pick up a lot of chunk yards. So, I mean, Scott Turner's trying to give him some underneath stuff. You have Logan Thomas open here, which I wish Carson Wentz would have hit because he looked at it. I don't know why he didn't throw it. Maybe he just assumed that corner that was over here may have still been there in zone coverage, which, you know, that brings me to Scott Turner. We had Terry McLaurin rotate over, and it looks like they're in man coverage because he kind of follows him, but then with everybody pointing, that kind of shows that maybe they're in zone coverage because everybody's trying to say, oh, okay, I got him. So I guess we should have known this was zone coverage maybe. And hopefully you would have known, had some type of knowledge that this corner would not be there. Maybe Carson Wentz can't see it. You got to throw that ball to Logan. So I'm going to give Carson Wentz a little bit of fault here. We'll give him a ticker. Of course, the offensive line gets a ticker as well. But, I mean, it looks like Scott Turner tried to give him some underneath stuff, even though this route developed a little bit too long. I mean, Antonio Gibson's running this way, then he hits a juke and goes that way. Just send him out to the flat, just straight up. Give Carson Wentz an immediate target. He had one in Logan Thomas, so it's really hard for me to blame Scott Turner here. But again, overall, Scott Turner deserves a lot of blame just for how these drives went overall. But yeah, Carson Wentz, offensive line, y'all get tickets here. Receivers, y'all good. Y'all definitely good. This is not y'all fault. First of all, the guy that's even nearest Logan Thomas isn't even looking at him, bro. Just throw this. Throw this. And then Carson Wentz, that's on you, my boy. I mean, it's also on the offensive line, of course, as well. But Carson Wentz, that's definitely you there. All right, so we're on to the 7th sack. And at least this one didn't happen until the 4th quarter. So the last one we gave up last play was in the 2nd quarter. But this one was one of the ones that hurt the most because this looked like we finally may score. And Samuel Cosme's just out here getting beat bad. So this is 2nd and 12, Philadelphia 16 with 9:51 remaining in the 4th quarter. Samuel Cosme just got straight up obliterated. And I mean, we're gonna take a look to see if Carson Wentz was holding the ball a little too long. Let's look at it from this angle. Actually, let me slow it down. All right, let me see if you had any options out there. You had enough time, long developing routes. Scott Turner, they've been getting pressure all game. Why is there not somebody just wide open underneath? Because technically, Jahan Dotson is open here if he were just stopping right here and just calling it a day. But Carson Wentz knows from the play call Jahan Dotson is supposed to go to the corner of the end zone. So even though he is like open at this point, that's not even an option. You can tell he's setting up the route to continue the route, so that doesn't count. I mean, you have one-on-one right here. Maybe you can get that to Logan Thomas if you throw a good enough ball. And then looks like somebody's out in the flat. Looks like Antonio Gibson leaks out, but by the time that happened, Carson Wentz is already getting jumped. And then, yeah, I mean, maybe that if you could deliver it with a good enough ball, then double team. So you can't blame. It's really hard to blame Carson Wentz on this one because who does he have to throw to? Honestly, I mean, maybe if he throws a Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes level accuracy type of tight window throw, maybe you can complete it to somebody. I mean, your best bet, honestly, right now, before he's getting hit, is maybe Logan Thomas, but even then he's not really open and he's already getting hit at this point, so I can't blame Carson Wentz. Again, individual plays is hard to blame Scott Turner because, I mean, with enough time, these receivers are open. The offensive line just can't block it. But as an offensive coordinator, you have to recognize my offensive line is getting beat bad. So we're going to have to draw up some shorter developing, some quicker developing routes. And he's not doing that. He's trying to, I mean, granted, this was a good offensive drive. So maybe he was like, okay, maybe our offensive line is getting into a rhythm. Maybe we can start to open things up and run some more developing routes. But when you're going just from sack to sack to sack, you're looking at Scott Turner like, why are we even running routes like this Jahan Dotson one. Like, when has Carson Wentz ever had enough time in this game for this route to even make sense, or this route to make sense? But this drive, we were actually moving the ball pretty well, and the offensive line was blocking, so it's hard for me to blame Scott Turner, again, individual play-wise, but overall, he definitely deserves a big ticker at the end of this game. But yeah, I mean, this is straight up offensive line. I mean, Antonio Gibson was supposed to help a little bit, but I mean, that wasn't even the area that got beat. His main objective is to go out and give Carson Wentz a nice check down option, but Samuel Cosmi out here getting beat so bad. Let me see, and then we always got to look, because even when it's one guy's fault the most, it looks like everybody else getting pushed back as well. I mean, it's 2-on-2, but look at how we're blocking this 2-on-2. Really just a 2-on-1 on poor Wes Schweitzer, because Trey Turner, again, has nobody to really block. I don't know if like the Eagles schemed this up on purpose, but golly. Oh no, Trey Turner just straight up got beat so bad that if Wes Schweitzer wasn't there, Fletcher Cox has an easy, clear path to Carson Wentz. So shouts out to Wes Schweitzer for at least being there to help Trey Turner, who's clearly getting beat. I mean, when you're next to the defensive lineman, you're pretty much escorting him to the quarterback. This is literally Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday type of stuff. This is terrible. Now, shouts out to Charles Leno for trying. Shouts out to Andrew Norwell for doing his job. And again, you can't be too mad at Wes Schweitzer, because he's blocking two people at this point, because Trey Turner got beat so bad. And then Samuel Cosmi is the MVP of the play. I mean, how you end up like this? Like, I don't even know what this pose is called. I don't know how we ended up like this. I'm pretty sure 5 seconds ago he did not think this is how he would be standing at some point in this play. This is shameful. I know when they're looking at this film this week, they have to pause it on this and be like, what are you doing? Samuel Cosmi, what are you doing? Talk to me. What are we doing? How do you end up like this as a grown man? Yeah, man, it's just time to go on to the next play. Offensive line, all on you, my boy. And it's sad to say, but we're on the 8th sack, and it's not the last one of the game. This is 4th and 22, Philadelphia's 26-yard line. 8 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Again, rushing 4. I think every play they only rushed 4 on all of the sacks they got. Like, did they blitz this game? If they did, it was actually on a non-sack play. So I just don't know what's going on. I mean, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. But it looks like Carson Wentz may have had enough time to deliver the ball. So let's go ahead and slow this down and see if receivers were open. Because Carson Wentz, I mean, that dramatic step drop. I mean, we're literally throwing them in step drops to where the offensive lineman, I mean, granted, Samuel Cosmi got beat here, in my opinion, but with the type of drops that Carson Wentz is doing, you know, you would love it if he was up here and that defensive lineman doesn't even affect the play. But you know, that Scott Turner calling these dramatically far back step drops and got all of these receivers just, I mean, 7 guys in coverage and not even like anybody in here. Like, there's nobody here. They're all back here, 15-yard line or further back. All 7 of them. So nobody down here is open. I mean, maybe this is your best bet. Then you have the check down option in the running back. So let's rewind it. Let's see if the running back is open early. Get it to him now. Carson Wentz, get it to him. But Buddy breathing on him. Still, you have a little bit of time. Hurry up and throw it. Oh, no, you're trying to... I'm going to give Carson Wentz some blame here. That's enough for me to give him a ticker, even though, again, it's the offensive line's fault more than anybody else. But you had a running back, Antonio Gibson, was open right there. But let's look at the other angle to see how bad these offensive linemen got beat. Well, let's see. Whose fault is it on this side? This is Charles Leno getting beat? Yep, Charles Leno, you got to do way better than that, because Carson Wentz is trying to step up past this. Samuel Cosmi got left behind by his defensive lineman. Charles Leno looks like the left guard here instead of the left tackle. I mean, how did you end up all the way over here in this play? So that's just shameful. Yeah, nah, this was just a bad performance from everybody on the offensive line. And again, Trey Turner, who are you blocking? Let's go back. All right, Trey Turner, who are we responsible for? So you're double teaming, helping with Wes Schweitzer. Helping Wes Schweitzer in this play. And, I mean, yeah, y'all might want to help Samuel Cosmi and Charles Leno on this play. I mean, I guess if you know, hindsight is 20/20. If you knew that they would get beat that bad, maybe you would have had Trey Turner and Antonio Gibson help out a little bit. But then again, Antonio Gibson was J.D. McKissick was our only open option on this play. And I think, let me go back again to confirm that Carson Wentz held this ball too long. Throw it right there. I don't care what the pressure is. I mean, granted, you can feel it, you can sense it. it still would have been nice. Maybe just a shovel pass, something. Just hurry up, step up. All right, try to throw it now. And it's just, man, it's just so many bad circumstances. Because without this guy getting beat, without this defensive lineman, and Carson Wentz doesn't step up into this one. And if without this one, if that guy's still there and Carson Wentz is able to step up nicely right there, just delete this defensive lineman. Say Charles Leno blocks him. That's a good enough pocket to get the ball to J.D. McKissic. So I'm going to still give Carson Wentz some blame for holding it too long, because I still feel like there was a split second there to be, you know, overly critical to get it to J.D. McKissic. But this is clearly the offensive line's fault more than anybody else. We're going to go ahead and move on to the 9th and final sack. It's a shame that this film session is this long and all we're looking at is sacks. That's all we're doing. All right, so 9th and final sack, 2nd and 10 from Washington's 38. 4 minutes, 28 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. And, hey, it looked like they may have actually sent more than 4. Look at them. They blitzed. Wow. And from what I'm seeing advanced statistics-wise, this may have been the only play that they actually blitzed. And that's just a shame. This is the 9th sack allowed, and this is the first time they blitzed all game. That's just ridiculous. And that stunt, somebody got killed. Was that dude Andrew Norwell get killed by that stunt? That wasn't even really a stunt. You just got killed, period. I mean, I guess it technically was. They sent the linebacker across Andrew Norwell's. This defensive lineman was just more agile than you that play. I mean, he literally just got rid of you. Even if this had nothing to do with it, even if you take these guys away, if you're just one-on-one in space, just imagine this as you're just one-on-one out in space. Ignore Wes Schweitzer and this linebacker. Just ignore that. You just straight up got beat there. You should be good enough to pick that up. But J.D. McKissic trying to help Charles Leno. They're getting beat back here. It's everybody just down on the ground. This is like, what? How do we get here? How do we get from here? Everybody's engaged with somebody. This is what the pocket should look like for the remainder of the play, to here. Like, what happened? What happened in between? So let's look at what the receivers were doing. Were there any open receivers? Did he hold the ball too long? A lot of developing routes too long. Scott Turner, we're going to give you a ticket for this. I mean, granted, we're trying to hurry up and move the ball downfield, but give him something quicker than that. And whatever that was, Buddy was not able to get open. I think that was Curtis Samuel. And by then, Carson Wentz is already getting mutilated. Let's try this again. All right, so let's look at this route. It's just another long developing route. Like, if he were to continue this way, and Carson Wentz, you know, knowing the play call, if he knew that Buddy was going to keep going this way, that's technically open enough. He could have had time to. So Scott Turner, we're giving you a tick for this one, because this is ridiculous. Like, why is this the soonest it may even get open with as bad as your offensive line has been blocking? Like, Scott Turner, that's definitely you. Offensive line, that's definitely you. I can't really blame Carson Wentz right here, because who is there to throw to by the time? Look at what he's already going through right now. Like, look at this. Look at what he's already a running back this play, and nobody's open yet. It's like ridiculous. So offensive line and Scott Turner, this is definitely you. It would be nice for the receivers to find a way to get open one-on-one in these situations, but I mean, Scott Turner's calling these long developing routes. I mean, what can you do? So yeah, man, this is just Andrew Norwell got beat. Charles Leno getting beat, even with J.D. McKissic to help. Shouts out to J.D. McKissic for helping right there. And yeah, this is more so Andrew Norwell's fault, because look at this. And then Wes Schweitzer stopped blocking his guy, thinking, oh yeah, I'm in the clear. Y'all already messing up, so I'm good. I don't look as bad. And then your guy's the one that's actually making the play. And so yeah, this is just bad. And Trey Turner, I mean, granted, I guess you were technically the better offensive lineman on this play. You actually did your job, but your guy got involved. And now Carson Wentz is getting jumped. So it's just like nobody really had a great rep. J.D. McKissic did what he could. Oh, he didn't even get hurt. He's just down. That's Samuel Cosme. Samuel Cosme's just down, but I don't think he's hurt. Yeah, Samuel Cosme, it's him. He's just down, but he's not really hurt. It looks like it, though. He just looks so defeated. Like, yeah, man, I'm so glad this game is over. We got embarrassed. Po baby. I mean, he's just still down there. I mean, maybe he is hurt, but it looks more like a defeat. I mean, there's no reason that they're huddled up with your quarterback like this. Like, just arm around shoulder, just chilling. We cooling. Mid-game. Like, this is terrible. This is supposed to be a 2-minute offense type of scenario. What are we doing, offensive linemen? Like, why are y'all all standing around not blocking nobody? What is going on? What did Carson Wentz do to y'all? This is a safe place, man. Any Commanders offensive lineman, if y'all can get in the chat and let me know what Carson Wentz did to y'all, man, please tell us. Because if he did something dirty, and this is why y'all treating them like this. At least we need to know so we can stop blaming y'all, because this is ridiculous. This is literally Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday type of treatment. 9 sacks in one game, and only one of them was a blitz. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Poor Carson Wentz running for his life. Receivers basically just running suicides because they're running all of these complicated, overdrawn routes that Scott Turner got them running, knowing that the offensive line can't block long enough for it to even matter. So they're just out there running for cardio. There's just no purpose to it. This is terrible. And they, again, the one play they blitz is the one play we have J.D. McKissic ready to help, but it just didn't matter at all, man. But this is just absolutely terrible. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please let me know who you feel like whose fault it is. I mean, you can see the final score of whose fault it was the most. Offensive line easily, but Scott Turner and Carson Wentz also deserve quite a bit of blame. And I mean, just again, let me know in the comment section how y'all assess the film. I mean, maybe you saw something different from me. Maybe I'm wrong about a couple of things. Let me know. With these film sessions, I'm an open book. So if I analyze something wrong, if I pointed out something and I said it was somebody's fault, but it was really somebody else's, please let me know. I do not take offense to any of it. And of course, man, I appreciate all of the support. Again, please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Stay tuned for more film sessions like these every week. And I appreciate all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Catch y'all later. I'm out.